What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Bleav in Steelers show. My name is Mark Bergin. And as we wait for Aaron Rodgers to make up his mind, whether he's staying in Pittsburgh, whether he's going to retire, whatever it is he's going to do, the NFL draft gets closer and closer. And the first round's on April the 24th. We're less than a month away now. So on today's episode of Bleav in Steelers, I'm going to go through the top 5 quarterbacks in this year's draft class. And I say this because Pittsburgh needs to make a decision between now and then of what they're doing at the quarterback position. If I'm Pittsburgh, I don't go into the draft. I either am in or out with Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying, hey, we can wait till after the draft for Rodgers to make up his mind. Because right now the Steelers have Mason Rudolph and they have Skylar Thompson as their 2 quarterbacks. Got to fill out the room. Got to figure out what you're doing at that position. And I argue that the Steelers have the worst quarterback situation league-wide other than the Cleveland Browns. Other than the Cleveland Browns, maybe there's a few other teams, but the Steelers are going to need to draft someone if Aaron Rodgers can't make up his mind between now and April the 24th is my deadline if I'm Pittsburgh. So let's go through the top 5 quarterbacks in this year's draft. And we start with Cam Ward out of Miami. It's no secret he's going to go to the Tennessee Titans with the first overall pick. This, to me, was further a signal by the Titans when Tennessee canceled the workout with Shedeur Sanders, the private workout. Cam Ward out of Miami, 6'2", 219, a little bit of a flick of the wrist when he throws the ball. He makes it look effortless at times. There's times I think he's a little bit too casual with the football, a little too comfortable with the football. But there's a reason why he's considered the top pick. 57 starts in college. He played 2 seasons at Incarnate World, 2 at Washington State, his final season at Miami. He initially committed to the 2024 draft. He saw he was going to be a day 2 or day 3 draft grade, so he decided to transfer to Miami for his final year of eligibility. The ACC Player of the Year, the ACC Offensive Player of the Year, 4,300 yards through the air, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 204 yards on the ground, too, with 4 touchdowns. Again, a first-team All-ACC pick. You've heard it all with Cam Ward, that he's a twitchy athlete as well, but he's going to be the top pick by the Tennessee Titans unless a team makes a massive trade. I don't envision that happening. Cam Ward's going to be the top pick, and he is the top quarterback in this year's quarterback class. Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado, I've got at number 2. And it's not so much his rankings, but where he winds up. That's just fascinating to me. Cleveland still needs a quarterback because you've got Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson under contract right now. Watson's likely not going to be back till, halfway through the year? So you've got to get another quarterback of some sort if you're Cleveland. But could this potentially be where Shedeur Sanders goes at number 2? Cleveland has a lot of other needs. And if I'm Shedeur, I don't want to go to Cleveland just given that franchise's inability to develop quarterbacks. I mean, this goes back decades now. But if I'm Cleveland, if I'm the Giants with the 3rd overall pick or the Raiders, there's some speculation that Shedeur could slide in this year's draft. Of all the teams that need quarterbacks, Cleveland at 2, the Giants at number 3. The Giants have Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito. And the Raiders, I know they just signed Geno Smith to a big contract extension, but remember, Shedeur Sanders has a relationship with Tom Brady, one of the owners of the Raiders, and it's a relationship that dates back to high school. I've had Deion Sanders, Coach Prime himself, on this show talk about the relationship that both Tom Brady and his son Shedeur Sanders have. They've worked out together, again, dating back from when Shedeur was still in high school, even before the Jackson State days. These were the days where Shedeur was committed to FAU down in Boca. And I'll have a link to that show with Coach Prime several years ago. But this is why I don't think Shedeur is going to end up sliding, because Shedeur could learn from someone like a Geno Smith and develop underneath. And the point why I don't think Shedeur will slide, because whether it's Cleveland, New York, and if the Giants trade him, maybe they trade away Jameis Winston or Tommy DeVito. I think the Giants hang on to Russell Wilson. Would be none of those quarterbacks, whether you're Cleveland, the Giants, or the Raiders, are going to go win the Super Bowl. Is Shedeur Sanders going to lead you to a Super Bowl? I don't know. But there's an unknown there given his ability. 6'2", 6'1.5", I should say, 212 pounds. He's tough in the pocket. Shedeur is not an athlete like his dad was. He's not a prolific athlete, but tough as nails in the pocket. Colorado had no sort of running game. Just okay arm strength, though. Shedeur had a very good pro day. He did not throw at the combine. Again, not an athlete like his dad. He was sacked a lot in college, but he was asked to do a lot in college because, again, Colorado didn't really have a running game. An FBS high 42 sacks last season, finished second in 2023 with 52 sacks. Missed the final game in 2023 after having a fractured back. I don't think that this will inhibit him in any way. Just something to keep an eye on, something to know about Shedeur Sanders. Tough as nails, though. Played 2 years at Jackson State, 2 years at Colorado. He is my number 2 quarterback in this year's draft. I don't think he slides past the Raiders at 6. And if he's still even in the mix at 6, I think this is where you had teams potentially trade up to draft Shedeur Sanders. Is Shedeur going to force his way to say, even if Cleveland drafts me, I'm not going there? What type of influence will his dad have there given his experience in the league? This, to me, is one of the most fascinating subplots of the draft of where Shedeur Sanders winds up going to, which team he ends up going to. Anyways, he's my number 3. I got Jaxson Dart out of Ole Miss at number 3. 3-year starter. He transferred to Ole Miss from USC, 6'2", 223 pounds. Set school records. Broke Eli Manning's passing record in the SEC. More than 1,200 yards of total offense. And this is a big play quarterback. And I know Lane Kiffin's offense is very quarterback friendly. But when we're talking about big plays consistently, an FBS best 17 touchdowns of throws 20 yards or more. 17 of 20 yards or more. He's tough, no fear of facing pressure, and almost like a point guard style quarterback. That's Jaxson Dart. Here's another guy where normally in a draft, I would expect Dart to go second, maybe third round. Jaxson Dart will be a first round pick. By which team, I don't know. But I see Jaxson Dart in the first round, and I see Ward, Sanders, and Dart going in the top 15, given how teams need quarterbacks. I mean, the Saints are out there too. You're happy with Derek Carr. I mean, there are so many teams like the Steelers that need a quarterback. And if Jaxson Dart's there at 21, I do think that the Steelers have to strongly consider it under the assumption that they're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. But Jaxson Dart out of Ole Miss is my number 3. At number 4, this might surprise you because I've been critical of him, but this is Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. If he goes to the right system, I could see Jalen Milroe being the best of the bunch. But you're going to have to tailor an offense in a scheme, in an organization around his skill sets. 6'2", 200 and some change, 217, a 4.37 in the 40. He is an athlete, but the comparisons to Lamar Jackson point blank are lazy. This is a guy who took a ton of sacks in the 2023 season. He was sacked in 2023 44 times. He improved that this last year, sacked only 23 times. And this is a guy can make the long downfield pass, has a good deep ball. And he had Isaiah Bond, who transferred to Texas this past season, and Jermaine Burton. And Burton went to the NFL. But this last year, Jalen Milroe's best receiver was a 17-year-old freshman by the name of Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams is a very good football player, but I'd argue that Milroe didn't have the help that he needed. This past season, in 2024, in SEC play, Milroe had 5 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions. That is alarming to me. He's a project. I don't see Milroe as much as like a Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels type. I see him more as a Jalen Hurts type quarterback. To me, Jalen Milroe is a project. If he goes to the right organization that can develop him, I think he has tremendous upside. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and you need a quarterback right now to come in and challenge Mason Rudolph, I don't see that as Jalen Milroe, because the Steelers haven't been able to develop quarterbacks really since, Ben Roethlisberger? They haven't needed to because of Ben Roethlisberger, but it's been several years now to where I don't think that's the right fit in Pittsburgh. One other note about Milroe, he's accepted an invite to the NFL draft in Green Bay. So I expect a team to pick Milroe, if not in the first round, a team to take a flyer on him early in the second round. I think some team's going to fall in love and say, we're going to build around this guy the way that the Ravens have built around Lamar or the way that the Commanders have built around Jaden Daniels. Not to say that he's that type of player, but Lamar Jackson didn't start right away either. So that's how I see that. Organizational fit for Milroe is heck of a lot more important than what his skill set and abilities are, because of what his skill set and abilities are. That's why I have him at number 4. I think there's a lot of upside there, but the unicorn quarterbacks, the Lamar Jackson types, are more the exception and not the norm, typically. And one other thing, too, and the reason why I think the Lamar Jackson comparisons are just lazy with Milroe. Milroe this last year, 4.3 yards a carry, 3.3 yards a carry in 2023. Now, I know he had 12 touchdowns on the ground in 2023 and 20 on the ground this past season, but he takes a lot of sacks. Lamar Jackson's yards per carry when he was at Louisville in college was heck of a lot higher. The short and intermediate throws, Milroe struggles with. The deep ball, the big playability, the having an athlete back there, having another running threat, dual threat option, I like all of that. But the other facets of what it takes to be a quarterback, a lot of questions there. And if he doesn't go to the right organization that can actually develop those skill sets, I don't see him being a Lamar Jackson or Jaden Daniels type. It really depends on which. He needs to go to the right organization. Let's go to my final selection, Tyler Shough out of Louisville. This is a guy who's going to be 26 years old in September. Spent 7 years in college, 3 different schools, Louisville, Oregon, Texas Tech. He was the backup to Justin Herbert. Pocket passing quarterbacks, good size though, 6'5", 219. He's been benched. He's had injuries. He's rehabbed. He's had different coaches. This is the upside. This is the glass half full perspective if you're advocating on behalf of Tyler Shough. But he's my 5th best quarterback in this year's draft. A lot of experience. Same recruiting class as Trevor Lawrence. Talented passer, has a good arm. Battles consistency as well. But again, 26 in September. So let me give you a quick recap of my top quarterbacks in the NFL draft. Again, Cam Ward, no surprise, out of Miami at number 1. Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado at number 2. Jaxson Dart, Ole Miss, number 3. Alabama's Jalen Milroe at number 4. Louisville's Tyler Shough at number 5. Let me know what you think about my rankings, too. Or if there's something that I missed. There's a lot of other quarterbacks that I think could potentially be a fit for the Steelers day 2, day 3. At number 21 right now, unless Jaxson Dart slides there, I don't see Ward or Shedeur Sanders sliding all the way to number 21 when Pittsburgh picks. Now, could the Steelers trade up to get a Shedeur Sanders or a Jaxson Dart? Maybe. But if I'm Pittsburgh, I look at it from this standpoint. At number 21, if Aaron Rodgers hasn't made up his mind by the time you get to the NFL draft in Green Bay on April the 24th is when the first round starts, day 2. So that's the second and third round on the 25th, that Friday, and then it wraps up round 4 and on the Saturday on April 26th. If you don't have a decision from Aaron Rodgers, you got to move forward with the rookie. You cannot continue to be in limbo, and you've got to go get one of these guys. Will Howard out of Ohio State's there. McCord out of Syracuse. Riley Leonard's gotten some interest. Notre Dame and Duke. There's a lot of other quarterbacks in this draft, but it's not nearly as talented and as rich as previous classes have been at this position, particularly last year. Last year was a lot deeper of a quarterback class. My name's Mark Bergin. I'm going to go through each position group. So next, I'll have running backs and wide receivers, 2 positions of need for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So keep it here on the Bleav in Steelers shows. We get closer and closer to April's draft. I want to thank you, the listeners of the Bleav in Steelers show. If you enjoyed listening, go leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on the Mark Bergin YouTube channel. Again, my name is Mark Bergin. This has been another edition of the Bleav in Steelers show. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care and so long, everybody.